Good morning. My name is Jeremy Strimler. I work with the Community Development Corporation of Brownsville, down in Brownsville, Texas. So our group, to give a sense of what a persistent poverty county is, it is a county that's considered to have 20% or higher poverty level within that space. To give an example, Cameron County, Texas, in which we operate, has a poverty level of over 30%, meaning essentially that 1 out of every 3 people you meet in that county will be living at or below the poverty line at the time of when you meet them. So we spoke a lot about how do you build the capacity of nonprofits and local government to address those issues, whether it's through education and training, maintaining local assets, changing the perception of people's own lives in their community. Someone mentioned that, if nobody knows that they're living in poverty because everyone around them is living in poverty, it's very hard to teach people that there's somewhere else that they can get to or strive to be at. Then, of course, and connected to that, seeing different places, being able to show people that there are other places outside of their community that they can strive to achieve and things like that. Relationship building, creating that consistency for clients so every time they come to your organization or to their local government, they get the same services, the same opportunities every time they show up. Then, of course, having the operational funding to be able to maintain that consistency is something that's very needed to build capacity. We also tried to define what is capacity for these organizations, whether it's having the operational funding to continue the work, finding the right people to work at your organization, advocating for this kind of what we're doing here, coming and advocating for the need for the work in your area and for areas of persistent poverty. Then a big one was better marketing, better publicity of your existing resources that every organization in a persistent poverty area has, so that more people in that area know that you exist, that you're there to help them, that you have the ability to help change their lives. And then, of course, working with trusted residents is always a good way to build capacity, because you're not going to be able to walk into everybody's neighborhood or everybody's home and say, believe what I'm telling you because I know what I'm talking about. Not everybody is going to believe you, so you need to have your trusted residents in an area, in a neighborhood, in a county, in a city, in a rural area to be able to go to and ask for their help in educating, mentoring, and assisting people in those areas. And then creating, a big one for creating capacity was there must be a way for the educational system to help us do that, whether it's through community college or local programs like Youth Build and AmeriCorps, as someone mentioned previously, to create those ideas. And then finally, we kind of settled on what are some things that we want to see HAC help us with to be able to achieve these goals of lifting our communities and counties out of persistent poverty. And some of the things we came up with are, institutional and longitudinal funding. So being able to have that funding and over time be able to access funding from HAC and other resources to be able to do that work. Trying to figure out a way to create a process or a checklist, if you will, that is applicable across the country, no matter area. While every area is different, there are, we feel, maybe a set of steps or things that everybody maybe needs to know to be able to tackle persistent poverty, no matter where they are in the country, and kind of figuring out what that is. And so, that new organization that starts, or that organization that's been operating for 40 years, can maybe look and say, oh, I'm really good at numbers 5, 6, and 7, but maybe I need to find somebody to help me with steps 1 and 2, or things like that, just so everyone can have a general idea of what it's going to take before they, get into the work or get too far into the work and realize they don't have the ability to finish. Convening summits and dialogues about education and housing and economic development and housing. And this was more of the bringing different sectors together, bringing people in healthcare and housing, or economic development and housing all together, because sometimes if you have people from different sectors in the same room, new ideas are created that no one else thought of on their own. And then also providing technical assistance, managing or aggregating resources from corporate and other funders, being able to help identify places that we could get that funding from, and then helping us to talk about success stories, or that marketing that we spoke about. And then that also brings up an idea of doing the research to help us figure out, because there have been counties and places that are no longer considered persistent poverty areas if they were 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, and helping us do the research, taking the lead on doing the research to figure out why are they no longer persistent poverty areas. Some of them maybe were on the edge. It was very simple for them no longer to be declared a persistent poverty area, but if there's the one county, the one city, the one town, the one place that did something different, that lifted their county or town out of poverty, it's worth us knowing and figuring out if that has happened. And then finally, helping us get HUD national staff and other staff that are not normally working in rural areas out to our rural areas. As we mentioned during the conference, if people can see it, then they have a better understanding of what you're doing. So being able to help our rural organizations bring people down and show them the change we're making, because we all can't always bring them down ourselves. So, thank you.
Thank you.